low-key brilliant, but it's also so we can't use it. Do not record that. We're not using that. That's really funny, though.
Welcome to Oddball. I'm Amin Elhassan, still at home. Charlotte Wilder, still in parts unknown, right? Is it your home? Is it not your home? We don't know.
It's my bedroom. I mean, it's my bedroom, and I have a huge poster. I have a huge poster of Dame behind me in my bedroom.
You were at your parents' house the other day with that same poster. I don't know. Does the poster travel with you? Do you have multiple versions of the poster? What's going on?
Yes, both. Just in general. Yeah.
Good
Thank
talk.
you for asking. Okay.
As noted by Charlotte's background, Damian Lillard talk is still on fire. And we'll get to that in a second. A little bit later, we will perform another thrilling chapter in the saga called Hype Me Up, or as Charlotte calls it.
Yes, thank you. I mean, hype me up.
There it is. That is, of course, a segment where people feel down on themselves and we pick them up. One person that we haven't done a Hype Me Up for, Charlotte, Damian Lillard.
I just realized that.
Yeah, and the news broke, obviously, late on Wednesday that he would be traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. If you want our thoughts in depth on kind of what the hell Portland was doing, how well Milwaukee and Phoenix made out, and what's next for Miami, you can catch that all on yesterday's episode of Oddball. But today I want to focus on Dame himself.
Yes.
Yesterday, Chris Haynes of Bleacher Report came out with a fairly detailed account from Damian Lillard's side of how the last couple of months since July, basically since that trade request, have gone for him. And I read the article, and upon reading it, Charlotte, I tweeted this. I've said it time and again. In our league, nice guys finish last. You try to be professional and do things the right way, they you over. Players are incentivized to be the biggest imaginable, or else they get run over. I didn't think it was going to get that much traction. It's something, again, I've said a lot. I've said always, hey, if you want what you want as a player, you have to make a mess, because if you do things professionally, you do things the right way, they run over you. And the tweet went bonkers. Like, so many people reacted and responded to it. And most of them reacted and responded to it with language that indicated to me very strongly they hadn't read the article.
Well, I mean, I went through your replies from this because I read the article and I saw your tweet and I was like, yeah, I totally agree. I think that this article makes very clear for people who haven't read it. You know, Damian Lillard tried to have conversations with Portland. Portland stopped calling him and his agent back. I know that people have said, well, you know, Dame demanded to go to Miami and Portland felt hamstrung, so he wasn't professional about it either. But if you read the article, it becomes very clear that Joe Cronin and the Blazers had very little intention of dealing with Dame in good faith after he said he wanted to go to Miami, which to me is just extremely silly, because they're letting emotions get in the way of, hey, maybe Miami could actually be a good thing for us and Dame gets to go where he wants, instead of being like, screw you, we don't like that you said this publicly. So I went through your mentions and I was stunned, because it's like people clearly hadn't read the article, or if they had, were just determined to make this Dame's fault and to absolve the Blazers of any sort of wrongdoing. And I got fired up, and then I tweeted, like, I shouldn't be surprised when executives don't act with dignity or with the best interest of their players or their team at heart. And I started getting all of these mentions, and it was like midnight, and I was like, you know what, I am too tired to wake up to this, and I deleted the tweet and thought that we would talk about it today on our basketball show.
Oh, never delete the tweet.
I hate leaving them. I'm like, I don't want to give people the satisfaction of dunking on me while I'm sitting here and then look at my phone.
Well, I mean, they're not dunking on you. They're just people who are sitting at home on their phones and don't have anything better to do.
I don't have the stomach for it all the time.
They don't read, the whole thing that the number of people who said, "What? Oh, getting run over is getting sent to the best team in the league with the second best player." I'm like, it doesn't matter what your opinion is of the outcome. What matters is his opinion of the outcome, which is, I wasn't talked to, and to me, one of the most stunning details was Damian Lillard at some point realized the deal probably wasn't going to happen and was prepared to come back and was prepared to be professional and show up. And he said, everybody in the practice facility, everybody on the team was happy to see me except for one person, Joe Cronin, who would not even speak to me. And he said, at that point, I saw there was no point in me reaching out. Like, the reality is this: what Dame wanted was to go to Miami, right? Not to get out of Portland. He wanted to go to Miami. And so my point is, if that's what you want, Dame, you have to make a mess. If you do things the nice way, the right way, I showed up to the facility, I was still a good teammate, I was still good with the staff and all that. They run over you, meaning they will do what they want, not what you want, right? And as far as why should they have done what he wanted, again, this is a guy, 11 years. He's the best player in franchise history. He's done everything right, including how he's kind of communicated all of this. But Charlotte, here's the interesting part, right? In the article, it says that Dame was told to sit out in order to secure a higher draft pick, and hence his calf injury flared back up. He did not want to do that. He wanted to play. This, to me, is somewhere along the lines of what happened with the Miami Dolphins and head coach Brian Flores, where he was instructed by, or allegedly by, Stephen Ross, the owner of the Dolphins, that they should lose games because they wanted to have a high draft pick. This is the year, I believe, Tua Tagovailoa was coming out. Similar, and the Dolphins, as a result, were penalized for this because this is outright tanking. There is an accusation in here that Damian Lillard was told, "Hey, it's better for us if you do not play."
Yeah.
What isn't in this particular piece of reporting, but I believe has been reported elsewhere, is leading up to the draft, Damian Lillard and his representation expressed to Joe Cronin and the Blazers, "Hey, I don't think this thing is working. Move me out of here." And Cronin's response was, no, we've got all types of coals on the fire, of deals to get you talent in here, of also free agents that we're going to bring in here. And so that was the just sit tight. And of course, Friday came, that Friday, June 30th, free agency began. And the Blazers' big free agent news was, we're bringing back Jeremy Grant, perhaps at an escalated price tag. And that was it. And the reporting that I don't know has been out there or not is that apparently when Goodwin and Lillard sat down, Aaron Goodwin is the agent for Damian Lillard, when they sat down with Joe Cronin and they said, "We got all types of coals on the fire," they asked him, what coals, what players, what teams are you talking to? And he gave a list of targets. And then they went and they independently checked, "Hey, are you guys talking to Portland about perhaps trading so-and-so?" And those conversations all ended with either, "Yeah, we did. This was months ago," and it kind of died on a vine, or, "No, we're not." So in essence, allegedly, Joe Cronin had misled them when he said, "Oh, we got all types of coals on the fire." This is what I talked about yesterday and earlier in weeks past, where I said you destroyed any sort of upper hand you had. You took a coward's route. And when boxed in, you fabricated stuff or stretched truths. So when you piece that together with some of the details in Chris Haynes' excellent reporting about how Joe Cronin behaved throughout this, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Damian Lillard, what he's getting paid. I'm not talking about Damian Lillard getting traded to Milwaukee or whatever. I'm talking about how they interacted with the greatest player in franchise history, who did nothing but be professional.
And they told Dame, if you sit out, we'll get these a better draft pick, we'll get you veteran players, and then they go and draft Scoot Henderson.
Yeah, which is I think is a great draft pick, and I think Scoot's going to be great. But they didn't get veterans,
yeah.
and even if they did, again, this allegation here is that he was told to sit out. They were tanking. That to me warrants some sort of investigation from the league. All right, when we come back, Charlotte, you ready to instill positive feelings into people, including, is it Magic Johnson? Do we have Magic Johnson on the docket today?
I don't know if we hype him up, but we certainly talked about him.
Well, there you go. Let's do it. Speaking of getting dunked on.
Yeah, let's do
it. The New York Knicks.
Great transition.
You see this news story that came out that Magic Johnson said, he obviously he's a part owner of the Lakers. He's been a part owner pretty much since he stopped playing. He said that he's had several opportunities to become an owner with different NBA franchises, and he's turned them all down. But the only one that he would do if offered the opportunity, Charlotte, the New York Knicks.
Yeah. I feel like this is a really brilliant way to troll everybody, because he's like, no, I haven't talked to James Dolan. And then he was like, but I love, Knicks fans are smart basketball fans, really smart. I'd have trouble turning it down as a minority owner. I'd be intrigued. And it's like, what do you stand to gain from saying this besides just like making people once again in New York think about how absolutely awful the ownership situation is, especially after James Dolan said to the New York Times, I don't like owning sports teams.
Yeah, no, he doubled down on some words that he said to you, Charlotte, who went to a JD and the Straight Shot concert. Is that correct, Charlotte?
Yeah, it was the worst 2.5 hours of my life, but it was also great for the content. So, but yeah, he was like, he said to me, playing a concert on the night of the draft, I think that shows you how much I care about the team. And then he said it to the New York Times, Amin.
Yeah, he doubled down. He doubled down years later, which is quite the decision. But there's a part of this where I need some clarity, because Magic is a minority owner, minority in stake, not minority in he's a minority in the Lakers. And he claims he's had opportunities to purchase other teams. I just don't think like the whole, I'm a Laker through and through thing would stop him from being the controlling partner of a team if that were afforded to him, if that were an opportunity. I mean, there's levels to this. You could be like a managing partner or someone whose input is very heavily appreciated, kind of like Pat Riley. When he came to Miami, he was given an ownership stake, and Mickey Harrison obviously was the majority owner and still remains the majority owner. But at the time, no one would question Pat Riley's influence on all the decisions being made. And I wonder if that's the role Magic Johnson is talking about. I just don't. There's only 30 of these things. This idea that like multiple times, hey, do you want to buy the Suns? Hey, do you want to buy the Bucks? You're like, no, that's enough for me. But the Knicks, and that's the other part of it is, no disrespect, I'm not counting anyone's pockets, but I don't know if you can afford the Knicks, Magic. Like, if that's what we're talking about, being the majority owner, because I have to imagine the sale of the Knicks would involve Madison Square Garden, would involve the Rangers, would involve, all the other kind of ancillary things that go along with that. That's why they are the most highly valued franchise in all of basketball.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing is imagining him having all these opportunities just lined up at the door. And it's like, is this, I mean, it sort of reminds me of what what Mike Dunleavy said to the guys at The Athletic about the rule changes of being like, well, it was a compliment. It's Magic being like, well, I was at. It's like, it's very vague. We don't really have much information on what these guys are talking about.
It reminds me of the Simpsons episode where Professor Frink is having a yard sale and Homer shows up and he's looking through and there's a matter transporter, like from the movie The Fly with Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
And it's going, and Professor Frink is selling it for $2 and Homer is pretending to be a discerning customers like, $2 and it only transports matter. Like that's kind of like the idea of like, hey man, do you want to buy into the Minnesota Timberwolves? I don't have a winter coat anymore. I've lived in Los Angeles a very long time. Like, come on, man. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? But no, hey, this is the one thing I told my friends and my cousins in our crazy sports group chat. If he does find a way to buy into the Knicks, either in part or in whole, that's probably going to be a good sign. This dude, every team he buys into seems to be successful, right? The Dodgers won a World Series. Obviously, he's been part of the Lakers ownership group for quite a while. They've won titles. What else? He just bought into the Commanders. We'll see what happens there with him and Josh Harris, the owner of the 76ers. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Man, like, as much as I clown, like, I kind of trust Magic as an owner. I don't trust him as a president or GM, but as an owner, I think I trust him.
Oh, yeah. I think this is like best case scenario for Knicks fans, also because it shows that Dolan is willing to give up something, like even if only that. But I also don't see that happening. Like this this would never happen under James Dolan.
It's a best case scenario because James Dolan is a little less in the picture. That's
exactly
why it's a best case scenario.
It could be anyone though, really.
it could literally be anyone.
When I'm low energy, I like to turn to my faith, my family, perhaps even
Charlotte Wilder to say, "Pipe me up."
Well, that's not where I turn. I was going to see someone else would turn to Charlotte Wilder. Myself, faith, family, and maybe Star Wars. This is the game where we read a name, a headline, and a hypothetical, and it is incumbent on the other person to hype up
whatever is on the
concept in question. Charlotte, are you ready to begin?
I am.
Your name is Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks.
Dylan. This would have been difficult a few months ago, but you just won Canada a bronze medal, my dude, and you went off for 39 points. And Canada medaled for the first time in 90 years-ish. That's pretty awesome. You should be feeling pretty good about yourself, repping your home country. Unfortunately, you play in the United States, and I don't know how people feel about you here, but that's neither here nor there because this is the start of your redemption tour. You can come back and do for the Rockets what you did for Canada, which is come in third place. So the world's your oyster, my dude.
For Houston, that would be a massive step up, so.
Yeah, see? All right, Amin, you ready?
I'm ready.
Your name is Kelly Oubre Jr.
Oh, Kelly Oubre Jr. Hey, Kelly. I know the summer didn't go the way you thought it would. You had to wait until September to get signed for minimum after you made like $14 million last year. But trust me, this is all going to work out. You're going to Philadelphia. James Harden, does he want to stay? Does he want to go? Nobody knows. But guess what? Where there's uncertainty, there's a void. And when there's a void, you can fill it. Fill it with your unique, particular brand of highly inefficient offense, of just jacking up shots and missing most of them that are further from the basket. And no one will care because guess what? They need someone to do all that stuff. And that's where you come in. Also, I know you have aspirations of being in the fashion world, being a model, all that stuff. Guess what? Philly, only a couple hours from New York. It's not like when you were in Charlotte, you were in the middle of nowhere. Now you can go to the Mecca, be right there for Fashion Week, network, get in with the good houses, the fashion houses, and really expand your brand beyond mediocre basketball player.
See, I'm usually the one who nags them. Also, I thought you were going to say Philly, fashion capital of the United States. Everybody knows.
It is if you spell fashion with a PH.
Well,
Your headline is, the Pacers and Buddy Hield have begun talks to find potential trade.
Buddy, this is great news.
Are you calling him Buddy in the familiar, or are you saying his name, Buddy?
Buddy, my buddy. I was saying his name, but Buddy, this is great. This is great. You can get out of Indiana. I personally don't have anything really against it. I mean, it does.
Well, that's because you haven't been yet.
Yeah, so there you go. This is great. Do you know, buddy, do you know that you shot and made more threes than anybody else in the league over the past 5 years? More than Steph, more than Dame. You get out of Indiana, and you.
Yeah.
Also, though, your contract's up next year, so you can probably get a lot of money from somebody. And you don't have to spend the last year of this contract in Indiana. And bright lights, big city, my dude, unless you end up in another small market, in which case.
Guy goes from Sacramento to Indiana. Now he's going to go somewhere else. Bright lights, big city.
Oklahoma. Okay. You ready?
Sure.
Anthony Davis told Lakers he wanted more help at center.
AD, I'm not mad at you. That's totally possible. Here's the deal. Everyone loves to say, oh, the Golden State Warriors death lineup. Oh, they put Draymond at the 5. It's a death lineup. You know what they don't do? They don't play Draymond at the 5 like permanently. You know why? Because it would wear him the hell out. That's why Kevon Looney exists. You need your Kevon Looney, AD, and sometimes people take kindness for weakness. So because you're a good dude, you're nice to everyone around the office or whatever, they're like, AD's fine, he'll play 5, he'll love it. But the reality is, AD, even though you dominate at the 5, you don't want to play that shit full time. You don't want to be banging around with the likes of Jokic and Joel Embiid and Rudy Gobert and hell, even a DeAndre Ayton. Man, that's a lot of physical turmoil you're putting yourself in. And we all know that you aren't exactly the most durable guy in the world. So yes, you tell them, hey, get me some help in here. Where's my Kevon Looney?
Banging around.
Banging around.
You don't want to be banging around.
The Christmas tree and the Christmas that
was a good one.
Last the hypothetical for you.
Yeah.
Malcolm Brogdon stays at the Celtics. We had the news story.
Yeah.
Let me recap everybody about this. The news story from Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe saying that Malcolm Brogdon was very hurt to hear his name in the trade rumors earlier this summer. I mean, all intents and purposes, he was traded until basically.
He wasn't. And they got rid of Marcus Smart.
So he was really upset. There was a kind of a lack of communication between him and the Celtics over the summer.
Well, Ramona Shelburne of ESPN recently reported that it seems like Malcolm Brogdon was less upset about the trade talks and more upset about how they handled his elbow injury, which I understand. And Malcolm, look, it can't feel good to hear your name bandied about in terms of people they can get rid of. But this is a good team. You made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. You could make it to the finals. In fact, if you don't, a lot of people might lose their jobs.
What?
What?
Did Charlotte just put everyone at the Celtics on notice?
But you don't have to move. That's the most important part. You don't have to move. Moving sucks so much. You can stay in Boston, which I know isn't like the sexiest city, but there's some fun things to do there.
No, there isn't.
Yes, there are. You can go sailing on the Charles.
Sailing on the Charles. Yes, that's great November, December activity.
I don't know. You can go to bars. They have some good restaurants.
Oh, yes.
Malcolm, you might. This is fine. Look, another year, another chance to win, my dude, and you don't have to move. That's sort of all I want. Chance to win, and I don't have to move. Amin, are you ready?
Sure.
Lauri Markkanen looking to best last season's All-Star selection and most improved player honors. This is a tough
You want to read that one again?
Well, do you want to take a look?
Lauri Markkanen looking to best last season's All-Star selection and most improved player honors. So basically, he's going to be better than he was last year. Lauri, you know what home is? Home is where the heart is. And you found a home in Utah. And because you found a home, you found a heart. And because you found a heart, you're going to be able to build on what you did last year and be better, be more complex, add new wrinkles to your game. Look, a lot of people said you only were an all-star because the all-star game was in Utah and they wanted to have some representation. I say horse. You deserve to be there. You worked your ass off. You had bounced around the league from Chicago to Cleveland, and people were like, this guy. But it all came together. And you know what the best thing is when things come together, Charlotte?
What, I mean?
When things come together, they build.
I thought you were going to say things fall apart.
No, they won't fall apart.
They won't.
Not for Lauri Markkanen.
Because this is hype me up.
And not for the Utah Jazz. I predict a playoff berth for the Utah Jazz this year behind the play of Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler and everybody else over there, Jordan Clarkson.
Wow.
All the Jazz players.
So freaking hyped up for basketball? I'm up.
Thanks for watching Oddball. I'm so thirsty.